Hello and welcome to the garden. I thought I would go through produce a few little videos on planting and later harvesting and seed saving so you can grow some stuff for yourself. Now today we're going to do potatoes. This is one of my favorites called Desiree. It's sort of like a Yukon Gold, yellow flesh, really nice smooth texture. Got a red skin instead of the yellow. Very good, very drought tolerant here, grows great, very pest resistant. So ideally, you want a seed potato they're called, about 1.5 to 2 times the size of a golf ball is great. This size is really nice. You can see it's already starting to sprout. That's a good sign. These are left over from our potatoes last year. You can get grocery store potatoes, get organic if you're doing that. You can buy seed potatoes from the seed store. You can use leftover potatoes from last year. They're all gonna grow. Now, if you can get one about this size, maybe just a little bit bigger, you can plant the whole potato. If you've got a bigger one, you can cut them down a little bit. So this one was probably a good size to plant whole, but I wanted more plants than I had potatoes, so I cut these. If you're gonna cut them, you wanna make sure there's a couple eyes, or those are little dimples where the sprouts are gonna start out, going on there. And let it sit for a good week on the counter just to air dry and form a bit of a scab here, a nice crust on there. That'll help prevent rot from getting in there in the ground. Super easy to plant. All you need to do is dig a hole, prepare your ground, get the weeds out of there. Hopefully you can see that. I'm gonna pop it up there. About 8 inches deep, clear the weeds, and about 8 inches deep is what you're looking for. You just drop your potato in there, make sure those sprouted sides are pointing up, more or less, they'll find their way anyway, and gently cover it up. If the sprouts are very large, you definitely want to make sure you're not going to break them off, but it's a big clod of dirt coming in there. Sift some dirt in on top and cover it up. Now normally I would cover this all the way to the surface, nice and flat. I'm going to leave a bit of a hole here because I'm going to plant one more row, and I want to see where I planted those so I can plant in between. You want about 2 feet between plants. So I don't know if you can see there. I got my next hole dug right here. Dig that out a little bit more. Already prepared the hole. I can drop my next potato down in there. Flip it over a little bit. Think you can see that. How's that? And don't want that whole thing going in there. So let's reach that in. Cover that up. And we can move on. Now, once that starts growing, you don't want to dig it up because you think it's a weed. So this is what newly sprouted potatoes look like. This is volunteer from last year. Let's see if I can get this going. So that's what newly popped up potatoes look like. Like I said, those are volunteers from last year coming up. These are purple potatoes, so they got sort of purple stems and veins in the leaf. A regular white potato would be just green through here, but that's what the new baby leaves are looking like. About like that, sort of like some of the tomato leaves. If you've grown Brandywine tomatoes, they look a lot like those leaves. So that's a baby potato coming up. We'll get to digging them and preserving them, storing them later in the season, but that's about all you need to know for today. Keep them watered, not too wet, and they'll grow like nuts.